Mr Farage for 2 minutes.
Thank you. Well, one thing is clear, and that is from the emollient tone we've heard this morning from Juncker and Barnier, we're actually very close to a deal on the backstop being agreed at the summit on the 17th of October. And of course, both sides will try and present this as a negotiating victory. Maybe worth reminding ourselves that this treaty, even without the backstop, is a very bad deal for Britain. It'll leave us trapped inside European Union rules. It'll leave us under the auspices of the European Court. And having given everything away in the withdrawal agreement, the worst part is that any future relationship relies on good faith. We put ourselves entirely in your hands. We put ourselves, indeed, at your mercy. And I would suggest that events that we've seen across Europe this week do not indicate that good faith exists. I'm, of course, referring to the pipsqueak Prime Minister of Luxembourg, who set out to ritually humiliate a British Prime Minister in the most astonishing way, only to be greeted like a hero by President Macron at the Elysee Palace yesterday. And it's very clear to me that keeping us trapped inside this was the objective of Barnier's from the start, to keep us inside, and you said it this morning, to keep us inside the customs union. And we've seen from other speakers today, the fear is that the UK breaks out of the customs union, breaks out of single market rules, and we become more competitive and we become much wealthier outside the European Union than within it. Mr Verhofstadt, we want no part of your European empire. The only way forward now to deliver on the referendum is for a clean break Brexit. Once we've done that, we'll have a grown-up conversation about trade and about the way forward. Thank you.
That the British Parliament may be shut down, but we are clearly showing today with this debate that the European Union is not what is the case in Britain. And it's fantastic that the Brexit Party and Mr Farage are making so much noise, because they can't do it in Westminster anymore, so they have to do it here. By the way, they are not even elected in Westminster. So, you know, dear colleagues, Eurosceptics, they like something. They like, in fact, bashing Europe by saying that the European Union is undemocratic, and you can be sure that in a few moments they're going to repeat that. Huh? They're going to repeat that. Well, I can tell you that Jean-Claude Juncker or Tusk can do a lot of things, but at least they cannot close the doors of our house. That is not possible. So if the Eurosceptics in the coming hours now, in the coming minutes, want to use again for a ridiculous comparison with the Soviet Union, from now on they can point the finger to Westminster instead to Strasbourg or to Brussels. That seems to me the good way forward now for them. And I know, and you know, that Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, likes a lot to compare himself with movie characters, as we know. Well, dear colleagues, concerning citizens' rights, instead of playing the angry Hulk, I think he should inspire himself by another character, the caring nanny, the film of Doubtfire, Mrs. Doubtfire, with Robin Williams, the late Robin Williams.
Well, we've heard a lot today about Emperor Verhofstadt's plan to build a new European empire. Today he compared Boris Johnson to Mrs. Doubtfire. But let's face it, Mr Verhofstadt is the Darth Vader of Europe. And this place, his Death Star, where national democracy comes to die. As for the empire, I'm here for the 17.4 million to strike back. 75 years ago, my forefathers fought and died on European soil fighting fascism. Today, we are here to liberate the United Kingdom from the European Union. For the past 3 years, despite paying £1 billion a month for membership, we've been treated with nothing but contempt. And today it got worse. The so-called level playing field, and I hate to play football against you, Mr Barnier, the match would be rigged. Brexit has shown that the European Union does not believe in democracy. Today, we are expected to be voting to call Brexit a regrettable event. Well, let me put it into language you understand. Je ne regrette rien. We are leaving the European Union and we have no regrets.
Madam Chairman, distinguished members of Parliament, this is my first speech in this august chamber and hopefully my last. As I entered this building for the first time, I saw a huge billboard with a temptation about free and fair elections. But I ask you, what is the point of free and fair elections if the result is dishonoured? What is the point of free and fair elections if the losers refuse to accept defeat? What is the point of free and fair elections if freedom and fairness is sacrificed because the elites think that they know best? Madam Chairman, the EU holds itself out as the torchbearer of global democracy, giving hope to oppressed people. But what is the point when it resents the democratic vote of its own people? In a few weeks, our Prime Minister Boris Johnson, my friend, may be forced to ask for an extension to the Brexit negotiation deadline. If the EU truly believes in democracy, it has to reject that request. Even if it doesn't like the outcome, if you believe in democracy, you have to stand with the British people. Our exit is long overdue.
I'm sorry to...
We voted to remain within our family of nations. The people of Northern Ireland voted to remain within our family of nations. The peace process there is sacred and must be protected. Now, Scotland's argument is not with you, I assure you. It's with a dysfunctional, broken Westminster that's not fit for the modern world, not fit for the interconnected, interdependent world we live in. I don't ask you to solve our domestic problems. You must deal with the interlocutors you're dealt. I'm sorry for that. I'm trying today to avoid a terrible mistake for all of us, for Scotland, for the UK and for the European Union. I hear the argument every day back home that we need to get Brexit delivered, we need to get Brexit done, we need to get Brexit past us. I hear the argument here also that you're sick of British nonsense. Me too, if it's any consolation. I appreciate you want an orderly process to mitigate the damage of Brexit. And I'm sorry, colleagues, I have news for you. There is no good Brexit. There is no sustainable answer to this. The people that you are dealing with, the empty vessels of the Conservative Party, have even now exited the chamber, and their tormentors have absolutely no plan for a durable, sustainable future relationship. If Brexit happens, with or without a deal, they will use that as a pretext to slash and burn at home in the UK, in Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland and in England. Social dumping, environmental dumping, economic dumping right off your shores. There is no such thing as a good Brexit. There is no such thing as a good outcome to this. I cannot support the resolution today, despite your best efforts and your good faith. I do not believe this withdrawal agreement will deliver because of your interlocutors. Scotland has other chances in this. We need more time to reverse Brexit. Please give us that time. Thank you.
Are you finished? Have you finished? Sorry, who is making that comment? Because it's just coming... Sorry, guys, I'm in control. 2 minutes. Mr. Madison.
Thank you, Chair. On 23rd June 2016, the European Union membership referendum was held in the United Kingdom. On that historic day, a majority, 51.89%, chose to leave the European Union. It has been more than 1,000 days since the referendum took place, and every single day since then, political elitists, both in the UK and in the EU, have held the people of Great Britain and Northern Ireland hostage. The decision of the UK voters to leave the European Union is binding, and those in power have a legal duty to give effect to the results of the referendum. Certain politicians may think they possess superior wisdom by preventing Brexit, but they should be reminded that even though the people may not be the ones who govern, or legislate or interpret the law, they are the source of that power. This is something the political elitists of our time conveniently tend to forget. The EU is quick to preach to third countries about democracy and the rule of law, but in its own backyard, democratic results are only respected when they correspond with the ideology of the EU federalists. The possibility to join the EU was always accompanied by the corresponding possibility to leave. However, what has become clear is that politicians are doing everything in their power to prevent the UK from leaving the EU. Even the key Verhofstadts of this world can even be seen in a video shrinking to the fact that they have succeeded in keeping the UK hostage for at least 5 years. Boris Johnson proves new hope that Brexit might finally be delivered. However, the House of Commons constantly undermines him, most recently by voting in favour of rendering a no-deal Brexit unlawful and effectively taking hope. The Council could block a further extension. Johnson could negotiate a different deal or leave without a deal. The people of Europe will not be silenced and will not be held hostage. By ignoring the will of the people, the EU is becoming the architect of its own downfall, unfortunately. And it is time for the EU to listen to the people and to respect democracy and the sovereignty of nations, and it is time for the EU to practice what it preaches.
Thank you.
And everything. Thank you.
Mr. Zahradril, for 1 minute, please.
We have 6 weeks to Brexit, and if nothing happens, UK leaves on 31st October without a deal. But still, many people in this House make mistake by thinking and believing that we have a deal, and that there are only some troublemakers on the UK side that are blocking it, and they have to be brought to senses. But all this is not true. We do not have a deal. We have just a draft that was dismissed 3 times in the House of Commons, and which current UK government, pretty legitimate government, doesn't accept. There's a saying, there must be 2 to tango, but unfortunately it seems that we dance pretty much alone. So any sensible option, in my feeling, is that this EP has to ask European Council to mandate European Commission to renegotiate the deal. Otherwise, we end up in 6 weeks with no deal, with very damaging consequences for our economies. Thank you very much.
Thank you.